help for your food addiction and you don't know where to start? Welcome to the series, The Food Addiction Frontlines, where we uncover the expertise and services available for overcoming food addiction. I'm Dr. Vera Tarman, an addictions physician specializing in sugar and ultra-processed food addiction, here to introduce you to the professionals making a difference in this field. In each 15-minute episode, we'll meet leading experts. They'll share their journey, their training, and the unique services they provide for all who struggle with food addiction. So let us help you find the treatment that is best for you. Today, we are speaking with David Wiss. Welcome, David.
Yay, thanks for having me. So much respect for what you've done in this field and appreciate your show and including me.
Thank you. Tell us what inspired you to move into the field of food addiction. I know that you started in eating disorder. Tell us how you got here.
I actually started with the idea of nutrition for substance use disorder. I had some very severe difficulties in my early 20s, and I got sober at age 24 and got into health and got into nutrition, and it rapidly transformed me. And I had this vision, wow, the world needs to know that nutrition is more than calories. It's profound. It changed my life. Got into grad school with the hope of doing research on nutrition for substance abuse and substance use disorder. That led me into food addiction, into eating disorders. This was 2010, 11, 12, right when the food addiction research was taking off. So it's a perfect storm. If you think about my own addiction background, my interest in nutrition, the food addiction science, it all came together to where when I started reading and writing papers and doing clinical work, I had something to offer.
Right on. So what are your actual credentials? Lay them all out for us.
Sure. I have a bachelor's in social science and economics. I have a master's in family and consumer sciences, nutrition and food science. I am a registered dietitian, and I have a PhD in public health and minor in health psychology. I do mental health research, and I'm a functional medicine practitioner.
I know you as a brilliant researcher. You're just amazing. And sure enough, you're also doing clinical work. Tell us what kind of clinical services you provide.
Yeah, my practice is called Nutrition in Recovery, and we are a group practice, and we bring a lot of our education and counseling services to treatment facilities. We have an incredible office in West LA, and I work with people virtually all over the world, mostly doing nutrition for mental health. I have interest in people that are on a healing journey, whether that be eating disorder, addiction, depression, anxiety, trauma. All of those things likely cluster and co-occur. So I have a gift of seeing people, not diagnoses, and helping people find a trajectory using lifestyle medicine to bring about deep healing and transformation.
And that includes a food plan as well as...
I do counseling. I do offer a lot of advice. I've never been the dietitian that believes in prescribing food plans. I like to encourage people to create them. Sometimes we create them in session, but I've never had this belief that I have all the answers. I don't really do math-centric nutrition. In other words, I don't look at someone and try to calculate a calorie and do the breakdown macros. I did that stuff when I was a personal trainer during grad school. It was like my intro to nutrition. It was like, okay, you can figure out what someone needs, you can do the math, and then you could figure out what their food plan is. And I got burnt out on that real quick. By the time I was a registered dietitian, I stopped doing that. So I've never been a food plan dietitian my entire career. I don't have a desktop full of files that I tweak and just give people generic stuff. But if someone has a food plan, they come to me and they say, I want to change this. I'm the guy, because I can look at what's missing. I can see if there's nutrients missing, textures missing, other sensory experiences, other things that are important to create a well-rounded diet. If someone wants to create one with me in session, I love doing that, but I don't prescribe food plans.
But if they say, oh my God, I have no idea what to do, you help them start from scratch.
I take what someone's doing and look for their strengths and just build on the things that are going well. And I look for areas that need improvement and we modify. So I don't operate under the assumption that there's a, perfect diet out there.
What would you consider is most unique about your service?
I think my uniqueness comes in my dialectical thinking. I'm very nuanced and I don't fit perfectly into any of the tribes per se. I like to think intersectionally. There's polarity between food addictions and eating disorder perspectives. I work really well at the intersection. I've helped people that have been through mainstream eating disorder treatment and not feel heard. They've been told certain messages, maybe all foods fit, et cetera, and they're looking for an approach that will empower them to eat real food and to trust their gut, et cetera. And so I've been a source of support for those. I've also been a source of support for people that come from the food addiction world and feel like there's too much rigidity. It doesn't match their spirit. And I also do things at the polar extremes. I do things in the middle, and I do things all along the continuum. And I never assume that I know where someone lies until I've collected some information. Obviously, I use survey instruments at intake, and then I spend an hour to learn about someone. And it's not just their addiction history or their eating disorder history. I like to know the way someone's mind works, their levels of cognitive rigidity versus cognitive fluidity. I like to learn about, some people are freedom fighters and they see freedom in choice. Other people are freedom fighters and see freedom in no choice, right? Just taking choice off. And I understand the value of all of it. I deeply identify as someone who doesn't stick my flag in the ground in one place and stand there. I move around, I learn from other disciplines, and I learn from my clients. So I think that's my greatest strength. The flip side of that would be that some people are just looking for a path. They just want this path. And I challenge people to think outside of boxes. I've had some food addiction folks come to me and want me to give them, for example, like an exact calorie number. And I'll just look at someone and like, honestly, I really don't know.
If I ask what is the limitation, it would be for those who want a path, that's not me.
That's not me. If you want to do some digging and discover it together and have some deep discussions, I am a doctor of philosophy. If you want to philosophize about treatment approaches and nuance and these polarizing camps, I'm so great to talk to. If you want the doctor expert that knows what's best for you, I ain't the guy.
Okay. Do you like to use a lot of psychological tools like CBT, DBT, that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's the work. I'm just talking to people all day long, all around the world. So it's about rapport, it's about understanding, it's about empathy, and it's about connection.
How do you deal with people who have coexisting issues, anxiety, depression, OCD, ADHD?
Yep. Each of those quote unquote diagnoses has some potential important biological underpinnings. So I like to think about possible biological contributions to the quote unquote disorder, the psychological facets to it, the thinking patterns, and of course, the contextual factors. And I try to bring them all together. Usually when someone has trauma, there might be some anxiety or depression and either a substance use disorder or an eating disorder. I really try not to over-identify with those labels. When I do my intake, instead of asking people what are their mental health diagnoses, I ask people, what mental health diagnoses do you identify with?
Do you work with people who are on Ozempic or one of the GLP-1s?
Absolutely. It's definitely a hot topic. And I've done quite a bit of work in the last year or two with people that want to get off of them as well. People that have had their go and are ready to transition. That's a very challenging transition for a lot of people. And I've supported people on them. I have quite a few clients on them now, and I don't have a supercharged point of view either for them or against them. There's an energy in the world and it's happening, and we're learning how to roll with it.
Do you work with the family? What about community supports like AA or other secular groups?
Yeah, family work can be imperative, particularly with our adolescents and youth. There seems to be a need for a lot of engagement with parents. I've done some great work with couples. I do need to do a separate intake so I can learn the individual psychological profile. Sometimes I need a few sessions individually and then bring them together. I do enjoy that kind of work. Huge fan of social support. I've been active in some recovery communities For 10 years, I led a workshop on Zoom for people interested in old school recovery methodologies. And yeah, I've appreciated the opportunity to bring people into the altruistic movement and to help them get connected with other folks. I've even connected clients with other clients over the years. Just get their permission and say, I think you guys could really be friends. I'm aiming to do more next year with Wise Mind Nutrition, have drop-in office hours and where a chance for people to share their journey with others.
What would you say are some challenges that you face in this field of food addiction?
The polarity. I think there's a lot of hate that comes from the eating disorder community, and I've taken on the responsibility of educating some of them about the neuroscience of eating behavior. But it is so charged to where I've given very intelligent, nuanced talks and presentations, and I could just feel the tension. I've had heated debates on social media. I don't do the debate thing. I try to do the dialogue thing. But here I am trying to bridge the gap between the fields and tell the eating disorder field that a lot of folks in the food addiction space feel misunderstood and wrongly accused. And the eating disorder world is saying that approach traumatized me. I think it's harmful. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of really good middle ground conversations.
Yeah.
So I've taken that task on. I train food addiction folks about eating disorders, and I train eating disorder folks about food addiction. And I will say this, the polarity is very clearly charged more on the eating disorder end because of other social justice issues related to gender, body weight, race, SES. When I try to talk about the commercial implications and the macro public health views around the food industry and about cleaning up the food supply, sometimes it feels like people aren't hearing what I'm saying. I think a lot of times people have difficulty separating individual health from public health. I do individual clinical counseling, but I'm also a public health researcher.
In all of that work, how do you keep your head above board so that you don't get in the way of your clients? What are some personal strategies that you use for your own well-being?
So I've been doing some data collection on my own life, informally, not actual data, over the last 2.5 years. I have 2 children now, a 2.5-year-old and a 7-month-old, 2 daughters. And I've noticed a very strong correlation. When I am well slept, I have great mental health. I make positive predictions. I stay calm, and I do really well in social settings. All it takes is a little bit of caffeine, late nights, and workaholism, and I can see my mind going dark, as we call it, right? And I'm very comfortable saying that out loud because I'm very human.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you about your practice that you would like to showcase?
Nutrition in Recovery is the clinical practice. We're able to meet folks worldwide, and the app is called Wise Mind Nutrition. It's an ongoing journey to mental health using nutrition and lifestyle medicine, and super excited about where it's at and where it's headed. Wise Mind Nutrition is a transformational journey that includes daily videos, blogs, meditations, recipes. It's basically 6 weeks of work. It's about 10 to 15 minutes a day. If you dig deep, it could be 20 to 30. I put a lot of content in there and expect people to select what resonates, but it's one day at a time, new information. And there is a food log, different from MyFitnessPal and the other calorie-centric apps, and focus on qualitative components of food, what food groups are present, hunger, fullness, etc. Help people eat more colors, eat more real food, find balance. So it's not a diet plan. It's an educational journey. It's more active, which means that I want you to answer some questions, do some assignments, do some digging. So it's really built for people that know they want to go on the healing journey. They've been through all the different paradigms and they're fed up. They're looking for a new approach. It's built for people who have depression, anxiety, and trauma and aren't getting better on medications.
How can people find out more about you?
Nutrition in Recovery is the clinical website. My homepage on the internet is drdavidwiss.com. I have all my publications and podcasts, and I've been blogging about public health, the commercial determinants of health, really great free trainings at drdavidwiss.com. The app is wisemindnutrition.com. There's about 95 blogs on that site about nutrition and mental health, a lot of good addiction content. And Dr. David Wiss is my Instagram. I have TikToks for Wise Mind Nutrition, YouTube, Wise Mind Nutrition, etc. Pretty active on social media, Facebook, David Wiss. Find me, connect to me. Let me know I can be a part of your journey. I'd love to learn more about you.
Thank you. Any last words of hope to leave the listener?
My message of hope is to hold your narratives loosely, never get too attached to one way of thinking. A lot of human suffering comes from how tightly we hold our beliefs. And sometimes a tight belief system is the key to success. And other times we find opportunities to loosen, to break free from social constructs, and to be able to find what we often call our own personal truth and stand in it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, David.
You're so welcome.
Sugar is the enemy, corrupting the minds of the teens, expelling you not to proceed. Your body's your temple, your mind is your key to a life tapped into happiness.